The regular meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission on this Thursday, December 1st, 2022 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Perfect. Commissioner Firestone?
Here.
Vice Chair Idner?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
And Chair Taylor and Commissioner Walker are not with us at this time.
Okay, so we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so public comments, we have we have 4. And first up is Tim Kraut. Oh, I don't think I have my mic on. First up is Tim Kraut.
How's that? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good evening, staff, commissioners. What is recreation? It's a noun. One definition is a refreshment by means of some pastime, agreeable exercise, or the like. A pastime, diversion, exercise, or other resource affording relaxation and enjoyment. Another definition, recreation is an activity of leisure. The need to do something for recreation is an essential element of human biology and psychology. Recreational activities are often done for enjoyment, amusement, or pleasure, and are considered to be fun. The first official recorded public park was the Boston Common, created in 1634. The formative years of public parks was in the 1800s, when there was a great surge in the creation of city parks. Society as a whole began recognizing the importance of public parks, causing the creation of these public recreation areas to continue to increase through the 1900s and to the present times. So you ask, why am I mentioning these facts about parks and recreation? It's because I feel there has been a lot of focus on the negative aspects of having public parks and not on the true purpose and benefit of having public parks within our community. The true purpose of public parks is to bring families and neighbors together for the release of the burdens of everyday life, which causes pain and stress. This is what we need to focus our efforts on. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Bruce Walker. Oh, hold on for a second. I think actually I'm doing this incorrectly. We're gonna hold off because we're not to 6A yet. Sorry. And Tim's had nothing on it, so we did it as a general public comment. It was not specific to an agenda item. Okay. Any other public comments on items not on the agenda tonight? Seeing no others, we will move on to the police report.
Okay. Perfect. So thank you. As we begin, it's important to note that this report contains information for the month of November through the 18th. The reason for the shortened period was due to the need of issuing the agenda in a timely manner while taking the holiday into consideration. A follow-up report will be provided with the entire month at next month's meeting. Beginning with the skate park, the month of November, there was one call for service, no extra patrols noted, no arrests or citations noted, and no calls unrelated to recreation. For Libby Park, there were 4 calls for service, one arrest noted, thank you, and that arrest was for consumption of alcohol in the park. For Zirazodi, there was 1 call for service and 1 extra patrol. For City Hall campus, there was 1 extra patrol noted. For Clough, Vista Park, Rotary Park, and Daily Range Park, there's no calls for service or activity noted. Additionally, staff compiled information from the police reports from June 21st, when we first started collecting the information, through November 2022, where trends may be seen for calls for service, extra patrols, and arrests and citations. Based on the data for all 7 sites, Skate Park, Libby Park, Zero-Zodi, City Hall Campus, Club Vista, Rotary, and Daly, we can see that average calls for service per month is 16.22. The average extra patrols per month is 11. The average arrests or citations per month is 1.77. And as we come into the to the months ahead, we anticipate that we'll have a better understanding of the trends for each category. We'll be able to compare if we're receiving more calls than we have in the past. Staff will continue to work with the Sheriff's Office to obtain future data and can report back with information on these categories as the Commission wishes.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission or comments?
I just have one question, if you
Sure.
know. I mean, this chart's very helpful. It looks to me like the extra patrols kind of coincide with Ojai Day possibly, but the one for the extra patrols, I guess for maybe April or March, would that possibly related to the tennis tournament, or do we have any explanation of
Yeah,
those?
so if memory serves me right, that was right around the one of the festivals. I want to say the music festival, but I remember one of the festivals, there was a lot of extra patrols that happened during that time period.
Oh, okay, well, this seems to line up more to like April, May, and the
Yeah, and it very
festivals
well
in
could have
June.
been the tournament.
Okay, I just,
It was one of the larger events, that's what.
okay, well, I mean, it's logical that's what it was, I just was curious if it lined up that way. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Then next up on the agenda is the Public Works Report.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and begin with Club Vista Park. At Club Vista Park, seasonal pruning took place as well as irrigation repairs. Dealer Ranch Park, there's the storm drains were cleared as well as lawn repair, which is still in progress. At Libby Park, the pergola project was completed, so we have a nice new pergola there. The lower restrooms, it looks like there's plumbing repairs there as well. There's also vandalism reported in the lower and upper restrooms, and that was addressed. In addition to that, recent events held and to be held at Libby Park included the Veterans Day event on the 11th, Holiday Marketplace on the 12th, and on December 2nd, tomorrow, there's a Winter Wonderland lighting ceremony in Libby Park. The event will be hosted by the Ojai Valley Chamber of Commerce at 7 p.m. and activities include live music and pictures with Santa and Mrs. Claus. And that's weather permitting, of course. Skate Park, there's graffiti removed in the restroom. Rotary Park, looks like there's seasonal pruning as well. Lawn maintenance as well as gopher abatement. And for Zero-Zodi Park, it looks like there's an irrigation valve replaced by the snack bar, as well as the exterior lights were repaired right outside the Boyd Center. And that concludes the report.
Thank you. Questions or comments from Commissioner? Okay. On to our consent items, which are the minutes from the November 3rd meeting. Any additions or changes? Everybody had a chance to read them?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as posted.
We'll second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Passes. Okay. Now we are on to 6A, pickleball ad hoc update. We do have some comments, but I think what we've done in the past is to make our presentation, then have comments, and then have commission discussion. Does that work for everybody? Okay, So on to the presentation.
Okay, perfect. So in a nutshell, pickleball sound mitigation was able to complete the sound assessments earlier this month. Following the last meeting, staff in consultation with the city attorney's office put together a service agreement for the work which was to be completed and coordinated with pickleball sound mitigation to have the assessments completed. That was done on Tuesday, November 15th, where staff met with Mr. Unitek at Soul Park, where the assessments began. From there, assessments continued to Lower Libby Courts and concluded at City Hall campus. The assessment consisted of roughly 2 hours per location, where various sound measurements were taken at each location. With the information collected, Mr. Unitek and his team are scheduled to analyze the data and will put together a report of their findings and recommendations. It's anticipated that the initial report will be made available mid-December, so we should have that in January. And a final report will be delivered early January. With the final report, the ad hoc committee will have the opportunity to put together a report with recommendations for the commission's consideration. And with that, I'll turn it over to the commissioners in case you'd like to add anything.
So just to be, for my clarification, we will probably, in January, we'll get the report. And then we will get the committee's work and the report in February? Or are we holding the report until February, till you guys have done your report?
Well, I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, you know, the commission asked for a Zoom question and answer session with pickleball sound mitigation. So I think what will happen in January,
Okay.
we will try to schedule that. So we'll have a draft report, but based on your questions and answers or suggestions for clarifications, we may then have them revise the report, and we will use the final report as a part of our overall concluding report.
Okay.
And that's what we are aiming to have in February. But so I guess what you probably will see for the January meeting is a preliminary report on the sound testing.
Okay.
Okay, and the recommendations there. So that won't be final until after the commission's had a chance to have that
Got it.
session.
Okay, so January, we will have them via Zoom as part of the meeting and have that discussion and the preliminary presentation. And then February will be the ad hoc committee's report
Right.
with the final report.
And I just want to, you know, I've said this before, but I just want to stress it now. You know, the sound testing, the sound mitigation report is what we determined we needed to go to go forward, but it's only a part of a bigger report. And so again, because it is technical, we do want people to understand it. So that's why it's sort of being given a little more treatment than some of the other things that we will include in the report. But we're working on that now,
Okay.
so that we can have it for February.
Great, thank you for all the hard work.
Okay.
Any other comments before we open it up?
I don't have anything.
Okay, all right. So then we'll go to public comment for 6A, and the first card I have is Bruce Walker.
My name is Bruce Walker. My address is 676 West Highlands Drive in Camarillo, but I spent my high school years in Ojai, so I consider myself sort of an Ojai person. I'm a retired acoustical engineer. I was asked by the citizens group that is interested in pickleball noise to witness the test that Mr. Unisek anyway, and I thought that they look like they're doing a good job, but at the same time as they did their measurements, I did my own measurements at some spots nearby the facilities that are being tested, and I just wanted them to have the results of what I did to corroborate or supplement what they were able to do in the short time they had available. So I'm just here to request that the commission give permission to pass the information that I've given over to Mr. Gomez on to the contractors.
Thank you. Next up is Bill Miley.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Bill Miley, a member of the Citizens for a Sound Pickleball Policy. So, having read the report on the November 15th acoustical engineering study and the sequences for preparing for and now analyzing and preparing the public report, I want to commend the city, especially the Recreation Department and the Park and Recreation Commission, for the thorough details which led to this testing event. It was not easy to reach, but certainly valuable in the production and recording of generated sounds. In the Wall Street Journal today, I think it was today, more and more communities are facing issues such as we have. We are well beyond many communities in seeking this acoustical engineering firm and its recording of the sound and noise generated by pickleball play. Using factual evidence for decision-making will produce high levels of community resolution decisions benefiting our city and our citizens. And thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
I'm not leaving. I'm going to shut the door, though.
All right, Leslie Rule.
Thank you. For the record, my name's Leslie Rule, and I am here just to give witness to the number of people that were playing pickleball over the holiday weekend. This is only data-based. So I arrived Thursday the 24th at 8:30, and there were already 14 people waiting to play. We cleared the courts, cleaned them, i.e. they were windblown and scrubbed. By the time we started at 8:35, all courts were full. That's 16 people were playing. Excuse me, I have the numbers here. I'm sorry. By 10 o'clock, there were 34 people. That meant 16 were playing and the rest were waiting. It was a mixture of residents, their families, people who were visiting their families, and those numbers continued throughout the day. I have video of that shot, and I would ask any of you to find any courts anywhere in Ojai that showed the amount of the number of players or the amount of energy and fun and exercise that those courts were providing for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that's all of the cards we have for 6A.
We have a community member
Oh,
on Zoom.
sorry. Okay.
No, that's okay. And I'll go ahead and allow him to speak. And Mr. Bodycomb, can you confirm you can hear us, please?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Thank you. So I just want to add my voice to, as a pickleball player, to appreciate the efforts that the commission is putting forward to consider this, really important opportunity that our community has to support what Tim talked about first, the need for recreation, psychologically, physically, and that kind of stuff, supporting the numbers that Leslie just shared. I actually brought also family members from out of town down to the city courts over the Thanksgiving period, and they were busy and bustling. So I, again, just, want you to understand that there are a lot of us who are kind of monitoring, the efforts of the commission, appreciate all the work that you're doing, look forward to the upcoming reports, and just urge you to keep things in perspective, that the purpose of, what your jobs are is to help facilitate and provide recreation that is beneficial to individuals and citizens in our community. And obviously to do that in a way that is taking into account all of the different, aspects and facets and opinions, but certainly look forward to there being a really good outcome and solution in the months, or it may even be years, ahead to figure out how to really facilitate, support, and even expand the opportunities for pickleball in Ojai. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, and that is there anyone else?
That's all.
Okay. So public comment is closed, so now we can have a discussion here, if anyone has things they'd like to discuss or.
Yeah, I've got a question. First of all, Dr. Walker, thank you for offering your data. A question for Luis. Is there anything that we need to do as a commission to make that data available, or is it just the fact that it's been offered?
Yeah, if the commission wishes and wishes for me to go ahead and pass that on, I'm happy to go ahead and do that.
I just ask what, the city contracted with Pickleball Sound Mitigation. They did their tests. If we make this, Dr. Walker's data available, what are our expectations of how Pickleball Sound Mitigation would use that information?
So I would not have any expectations. I think I would leave it up to them to decide if it's useful to review that information, to corroborate anything, or if it's not, or it's just more work
Without
than they signed up for.
expectations.
Yeah, thank you.
As just a resource,
Would we just simply offer it to them and say, use it if you want, or don't use it if you want? I'm just a little bit concerned about, we have a contracted consultant. We have another expert offering tests that were done certainly at the same time, but perhaps not exactly in the same way. I'm not sure, I guess I'm having a little trouble just seeing the benefit of that, and also concerned that why couldn't anybody else come up with their own expert and, offer that information as well? I don't quite understand. We hired an expert, and certainly I think he was aware, Bob was aware that there was some other testing going on. And did he express any interest in receiving the information?
Not that I recall right offhand, but yeah, I mean, it's completely up to the commission.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really object to leaving it up to Pickleball Sound Mitigation, but I'm also just concerned about the precedent of, once the city is contracted with an expert for any purpose, what is to prevent other groups or other people coming forward as experts and insisting that their results be used?
well, I don't know that anyone's insisting. I think it's been given to us, and I think, Ryan, your point is just to share it, and they will do with it what they will, with no expectation of commitment to
Correct.
inclusion.
Okay. Well, I think as long as, I guess I'm comfortable with that, as long as it's really made clear to Pickleball Sound Mitigation that this is purely for, if they want to look at it, and we don't have any expectation that it's included in any of their work. Or if they have an opinion they want to share, I guess that's okay, but I'm concerned about promoting something that we didn't really have any control over.
Well, I think, I don't think I can go either way on this one, but I would say I don't think we are putting it forward with any instruction or we're not vouching for it. This is just something that has been submitted to us, and we are sharing it with, you know, I think that's what your recommendation is. We have it, we can share it. We're not giving them any directions to move forward with it or do anything specific with it. We're just sharing it as a resource, possibly, or not at all, so.
But we're making it clear that it's up to them whether they include it.
Yes.
I think we can do that.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
pretty
And
straightforward.
we would want that disclosed. Yes? If they
What do you mean by
incorporate-
disclosed?
If they incorporate the information into their findings and recommendations, we want that disclosed. In other words, if they're going
Right.
to use another expert's data, I think we should know that.
You're basically saying if they were to include it and use it as part of their analysis, they would cite it.
Yeah,
I would expect that, but I mean, as, you know,
Right.
Yeah, we can make that clear.
I mean, I think, this is not different than other public information. They're welcome to use any public information.
yeah, I agree.
Instead of
I
even-
think the difference is that it's not public in the sense that anybody could find it. It's
Uh-huh.
coming through, it was sent to Luis and coming through the commission, I guess. So in that sense, we are sort of sanctifying it, if you will, or sanctifying is not the right word.
I think we just received it.
Yeah.
And now we're choosing to say, we have received this,
Right.
here it is. And with no instruction on what to do with it or to even use it, but just that we have received this and we're passing it on.
Okay,
And no judgment on it either, right? We
Yeah.
haven't reviewed it. We don't, it's just, we're passing it along.
okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to make that very clear to.
Okay, we have closed our comment period for this, but we just received another comment card. It's up to the commission whether they want to receive the comment or not.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay. Brenda Kraut, 6A again.
The reason my request came in late is I didn't know you were going to be talking about having other input on the sound study. I remember being here and you spent quite a bit of time developing the RFP for the proposal. This gentleman, I don't believe, went by that. He wasn't included in that request for proposal. To submit it to you and say that he's doing it properly. That's one group that's wanting a certain outcome, and you're going to, sending this on to them from the commission is in some form validating that I recognize this as information that should be considered. Now, Tim did some sound that day too on his cell phone. Should we submit that? With the submit what we did? To me, why did you spend the $11,000 if you're going to? That's like having a contractor in the street digging up a line, and then you get a recommendation from another contractor that didn't even participate in the RFP to know what qualifications, what you were wanting, what details you were wanting. I just don't think it's very professional. I don't think that it is right. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion from the commission?
I just have to say thank you, Brenda, for using the word validating. That's exactly what I'm concerned about, that we are validating something that was outside of our process. And not having given any other interested party the same opportunity, the same consideration. And so that's why I guess I just feel like part of the reason we did the RFP and we put out a contract is to have a neutral party. And Dr. Walker is not a neutral party in this whole discussion. He has been, affiliated, and I suppose, I don't know if he was hired, but he's done sound testing on behalf of the Citizens for Sound Pickleball Practices. So I do think that biases the data potentially, but I'm more concerned about us validating that that's okay for people to independently do testing and then submit it and expect it to be considered or shared or whatever.
Well, maybe a compromise on this is, it is now part of our public record as a comment, because it was submitted as a public comment, was it not? Because we received some of this before our meeting as a written comment.
Not until at this very time when it was mentioned. When it was initially submitted, there's not a clear distinguish whether it was to be made into the public record or not. I attempted to contact Dr. Walker, but did not get that confirmation up until this.
And,
But it was distributed to all of our commissioners.
That is correct, yes.
but in his comments tonight, he asked for permission from the commission
Well,
to
if
share it with
you were
the-
hearing what I was saying, I'm saying, I think a middle ground on this is, let's put this in our public, well, let's put it in our public record, that these have been submitted to us, because all of the commissioners have received it. And that means it is public record, because it's been submitted,
Okay.
and it's there, and we don't send it on. And I'm comfortable with that, too. Are you comfortable with that? It's available, it will be available, it'll be a record, and then,
And
And-
do we not
And
tell them that it's
I was gonna
available?
say, I think we're kind of trickling into something that's not on the agenda. So I would recommend, if we'd want to have further discussion, we could put it on the agenda for next month's meeting. If that's not what the commission decides tonight, what Vice Chair Aitner recommended.
I actually think Louise is right. We didn't, it wasn't on the agenda to make a decision about this. In Louise's email, he did say he didn't know whether this was going to be made public, or was okay to make public. So I do think it's probably something to discuss at the next meeting.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So to be clear, though, is this information public or not?
At this point, since given in the public comment and distributed, yes, it would be made into the public record.
Okay. And is it
Yeah.
available anywhere at this point, or?
We traditionally haven't put any public comments online for the Parks and Recreation Commission, but it's something that we could,
By online, you mean on the website?
yeah, on the website, yeah. We can start that practice if the commission wishes.
I mean, I think if anybody, including Dr. Walker or Mr. Kraut or anyone is submitting information to us, and it's part of the public record, like
Yeah.
it should be accessible.
Yeah, and the other option that is available to anybody that would like to go ahead and review it is simply submit a public records request, and then it would absolutely be made available.
Meaning it is available, but
Yep.
not on the website, but available if requested.
Right, correct.
Mhm.
Okay, so,
So, right, it sounds like we can't make a decision
Right.
if it's not on the agenda.
Mhm.
We just have public information at
Correct.
this point.
so it's available by
Mhm.
request at this
Mhm.
point. And we will put it as a future agenda item for next month.
Yeah, and the future agenda item will be to whether or not we send it to pickleball sound mitigation.
Mhm.
All right? Yeah,
I'm
okay.
comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay, so that would wrap up our discussion of the pickleball ad hoc committee right now, correct? We good? Okay. On to 6B, which is a subject, just Sewell Park update.
Absolutely. So staff continues to work with county representatives on the memorandum of agreement. Yesterday afternoon, in fact, staff heard from Parks Deputy Director Coulter Chisholm, where he noted that the county legal team had reviewed the MOA submitted by the city and made some modifications for consideration. The city is scheduled to go ahead and review those revisions and work with the county on any changes that may be needed. And staff will continue to provide updates as they become available. There's not too much to share from last time around.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Okay. Moving on to 6C.
Okay.
which is the Sarzodi Park Multipurpose Sports Court update.
Yeah. So good news regarding the sports courts. So earlier this week, staff heard from the 2 engineering firms that were noted last month. Both firms submitted updated proposals for the project, and staff began the initial review of those proposals. In addition, staff is scheduled to go ahead and meet with the interim public works director to discuss those proposals a little bit further in detail. And in addition to that, we also heard from the community development department, who shared that the project had received a director's exemption from the planning commission review of a design permit. In other words, fast track to it there. A copy of the exemption has been routed to the City Council and the Planning Commission for their review and comments. In addition, a copy of that exemption has been made public on the city's website. The appeal period regarding the decision is scheduled to end December 5th at 5 o'clock. And if no appeals are received, the effective approval date will be December 6th. After this time, staff can submit a building permit application. And we have already obtained that application. It's filled out, and we are ready to submit it if there's no appeals received. Once the application is submitted, the building official will review it. And if no concerns, a final permit will be issued. It's anticipated that at that time we'll receive the evaluation for the project, which will determine whether it, subject to public art, based off of the amount, I anticipate it will be. But we'll definitely go ahead and continue to provide updates as they
Thank
become
you.
available. Yep.
We have one comment on this item. Bill Miley. Was it for a different
I'm
one?
sorry, I thought it was D.
60, okay.
I speak on D, not C.
Got it. We'll hold on to that. Commission discussion? Or questions on that? It was an update, so there may not be. Okay, thank you. All right, on to 60, which is the playground survey results update for Sarzodi Park.
All right, perfect. So to assure the community was taken into consideration in the design of the new playground at the park, a survey was created and made available to capture the community's wishes and feedback for the project. The survey became available on August 22nd and closed on Sunday, November 20th. The survey was shared on the Recreation Department website, at the department's social media page, Channel 10, the activity guide, Ojai Valley News, and flyers were created and posted throughout the park, included in the playground as well as at the Libby Park playground. In all, a total of 98 submissions were received, but it is important to note that not all questions were answered by each survey participant. As seen in attachment A, 58 of the participants noted they live in Ojai city limits, 38 live in the Ojai Valley, and 1 noted that they live in a neighboring city in the county. Favorite features of the current playground at Sarzodi included the swing sets, the slides, and the fire truck play structure. Elements that were amongst the least favorite included sand, the size of the playground, and its accessibility. When asked what features community members would like to see at the new playground, it was noted that a water element feature, shade structure, and swing sets were amongst the top answers. Survey participants were also given the opportunity to provide feedback at the Libby Park playground, where it was noted their favorite aspects included slides, the turf hill, the swing sets, and the spinning structure. The least favorite aspects included the lack of visibility, crowded spaces, the wood chips, and the merry-go-round. The survey also inquired if participants would be willing to assist with the project if the opportunity arose, of which 41 participants indicated that they would. Staff on the ad hoc committee are scheduled to meet in the future to discuss the next steps on the projects, and will provide updates to the commissions on a regular basis. And in conclusion, we'd like to thank everybody that participated in the survey.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And you and Ryan for putting it together. Thank you. Okay, discussions, question. Oh, actually, we have a comment, sorry. Bill, you're up.
Take my reading glasses. Good evening, Bill Miley. I thought this survey was really good. The questions that were created, the participation from the people within the city and also in the unincorporated area. And I was really especially impressed by the chart. And the one that sticks out the most is the one I'm really in favor of, which is shade. And with climate change occurring and things getting warmer, I was impressed that I'm assuming that those are 92 comments, checks, that were made on the survey, indicating that people wanted shade and more shade. And this, of course, speaks to the issue of Sarasota Park, or Soul Park, and shade for the pickleball courts that hopefully we'll get soon. But I also thought it was important that 54 people were interested in making sure they had drinking water, drinking fountains. And let's see. And then 63 for climbing. I thought that was neat. And then for people like me, 69 people for sitting. I'm in favor of that. So, all for shade.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions on that?
I just have one kind of general, I mean, look at this great presentation. It's wonderful to get all this input. Clearly was done by adults, which is fine. But I it's a question. In previous playground design, has there been any efforts to involve children actually in getting, because shade they might not think of, but yay for the parents to think of it. But I most particularly like the activities. Like, are those the ones the parents feel comfortable with, or are those the ones the kids want to do?
The last project we did a design charrette with all of the kids at Topa. The people who helped design, build that, went and brought their staff here and went through and spent an entire day at Topa Topa. I was there for it. Every child got to participate in their classroom in a design charrette, where they drew and they made pictures and they wrote down what they wanted and they did surveys. It was a wonderful process. So last time it was heavily influenced. In fact, some of the features in that park had never been built before. They were based on pictures that kids drew, like the rings there. That was the first time that group had ever done that element in a playground. And that was, some child imagined that in one of the design charrettes and drew a picture of it and they brought it to fruition. So, I mean, that's a very specific type of process, but I know that there's ways that we can definitely involve kids at the school level. And I hope we will. I believe this is just the beginning. This is the first survey, because the other thing is you have to help people see what's possible before you ask them to really tell you what they want. I think this is a reaction to what we have and what they might have seen and they might like. But the next step is to bring in that same kind of design charrette idea, both for adults and kids, and give them an opportunity to look at what's possible and give us their feedback that way.
Great, I'm glad to hear this is the beginning.
Beginning, yes.
Yeah, first of all, thank you to Luis and staff. This is really nice the way you put it together, so I appreciate that. I definitely agree that, getting kids involved is going to be informative and helpful in understanding kind of what excites them. But I thought this was for me, I thought this was really informative, some of the stuff that Mr. Miley pointed out. It's like everyone wants seating and shade, at least parents, and slides and swings, right? The basics, which kind of suggests to me other stuff is nice, but we just have to make sure we cover the basics, and then whatever else there is, is fine. So I don't think we need to sweat kind of what else goes into the playground so much, as long as we have kind of the
And
good
spinners.
standards. Spinners actually were pretty low.
But at Libby, if you look just at Libby, it's one of the top 3 items at that park.
Well, it was interesting. That one was pretty interesting because it fell into both categories. It was, the
High and
more
low.
favorite,
Yeah.
and the least.
Yeah.
But I think just overall, one of the things that I really took away from this is just that there's elements that community members want to go ahead and see at Zero Zodi that are already part of the master plan, like Turf
Right.
Hill, right?
Yeah.
Turf Hill was big for Libby, and there's going to be scheduled to be a Turf Hill at Zero Zodi. So I think the design of the master plan was really spot on. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And I think I would encourage us to think about kind of simple rather than extravagant. I think particularly to fit into what Sarzadi Park is. And this, I think, confirms that to some extent, at least from the adult perspective, that kind of those simplest things are the most important. I also realized we can't go right with what we put down as the flooring.
Yeah,
They don't
'cause
like
on one hand
sand
it
and they
was
don't like
wood
wood
chips.
chips. And that, if we'd put in rubberized flooring, we probably would have gotten some similar responses. So that was all helpful. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, the other thing I think, which I think we know, one of the common complaints about Libby Park is that some people don't feel safe with their kids because of the visibility issue. So I think that's also something to keep in mind as we go forward with Sarzadi, is to make sure that there's good visibility across the park.
Yeah, and I think that very well plays into what you mentioned earlier. Sometimes less is more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, when I'm at Sarzadi Park, kids love to play on that, dinky old little playground.
Yeah.
So it's not so much kind of what's there, is the fact that there's stuff there to play on and other kids to play with, I think.
Yeah, the sound element, I found that very interesting because it's one of the least favorite, right? But then there's, we've received a lot of comments on the sand, and especially once it gets turned over and gets aerated, a lot of parents will come in and say, "Oh, you brought in new sand." It's just turned over, but I found that one pretty interesting as well.
And if you talk to the kids,
Yep.
the wood chips are not a favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are not. The biggest thing is that they always come in, "Oh, there's something in my shoe poking me."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that comes back to the safety too. So,
Yep.
I mean, that decision comes from, there's more than one aspect to it, but thank you. This is excellent. It's such a good start.
Yeah.
And I actually think the participation numbers, that was great for something new that's just come out and we're just starting. I think to get 98 responses, it's not easy to reach people, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was very
We'll,
good.
we'll definitely do a lot of efforts as we continue on with the project, and especially engaging the little ones. I've mentioned this before. I'm just a big kid at heart, so I'm excited to get this going.
All right, thank you for the update.
Mhm.
Okay. And then we are on to 7, informational items. So we're going to have our Recreation Department report. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're happy to announce the department held its first fall camp November, the week of the 21st. There's a total of 35 participants each day. Staff facilitated various group activities, including arts and crafts, scavenger hunts, and sports activities, as well as movie time and other activities. During the winter season, the department will be hosting a second camp that will be the winter camp. Week 1 will be held December 26th, and week 2 will be held the week of January 2nd. We encourage all community members to call the department if they are interested in the camp. In addition to that, basketball is in the air, and we're very excited for that. Basketball league is going to be starting in January. In anticipation of the league, we held a preseason clinic on November 21st, the week of November 21st, where the 34 participants joined that clinic. Additionally, the department held its first player ratings on November 19th and is scheduled to hold the second and final one this coming Saturday. That's December 3rd. We encourage anybody that's interested in signing up for the program to definitely do so. Registrations will go ahead and close tomorrow, and we have some pretty good numbers. We're excited for that.
Great.
Yeah. Starting in January, we'll be hosting kids movie night twice a month.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So currently the offering is available the last Friday of every month, but with a high demand and a good attendance, we're excited to add that extra night. So we'll be running it the second and fourth Friday of every month, with the exception of the holidays, of course, and that will just be altered to one of the other Fridays. In conclusion, normally we do a program highlight, and this one is special for us. We'd like to go ahead and highlight and honor Thomas Farrar and the Kung Fu program. Saifu Farrar passed away recently, and the program does continue. We are continuing the program there. Sifu Farrar was a cheerful and vibrant individual who taught Kung Fu at the Recreation Department for over 10 years. He began his studies in the martial arts at age 17. By the age of 18, he earned his second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. In 2006, he was inducted in the International Martial Arts Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, the department was made aware of his passing in mid-November. He passed peacefully away in his home, and our hearts go out to his family there. As indicated, the program will go ahead and continue by fellow instructor Daryl Goodman. Sifu Daryl will continue to offer the program through the department. He began studying martial arts in the 1970s and holds a 5-degree black belt designation. In addition, he has also been inducted into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. And that concludes our report.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Our next item is City Council Liaison Report, and I don't see anyone here tonight,
No.
so. 9, Commissioner Reports and Comments. I think we've made most of them, unless there's something specific. Okay, thank you. Future agenda items, and what we have right now is Sarasota Park Multipurpose Sports Courts update, Sewell Park use update, and obviously pickleball's coming back to us
Mhm.
for an update and discussion.
I guess we want to make sure that Bob's going to be available on the 5th.
Yep. Yeah, I'll reach back out to confirm, but the initial indications was that he was going to be.
For the Zoom meeting?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, any other items? All right. Well, that brings us to the end. We're going to adjourn at 6:52.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.